OffBeat Sports Podcast presented by Celsius.
It's been a tale of two seasons for the Boston Celtics.
I probably aged about 10 years just from that series.
I'd probably compare myself to just a younger, smarter, more handsome, stronger Michael Jordan.
Let's go Celtics. Go Patriots.
These are guys who, when you give them a bowl of Cheerios in the morning, they finish every last drop of milk.
Absolute clown over here.
I'm ready when you are, baby.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the OffBeat Sports Podcast presented by Cross.
I'm Harry.
And I'm Aiden.
And we're back to give you the Week 2 recap for the NFL. We did Week 1 last week, and we enjoyed it so much, we're back for another. So I'm going to start it off with, I got a little list here. I'm going to call it Cross's Receipts of the Week. The receipts. I got receipts from last week. We're going to talk about some of the points from last week that may have been proven wrong. Some are proven right. Let's see what we did. So, Aiden, not sold on Tua. You said you were not sold on Tua. Tua came out and had a freaking great game. I said last week, I said I thought the Jets were going to be better. This week, guess what? They come out and beat the Browns. There they are. All right. Last week we were all high in the Lions, and they came out and played well again this week and got a win. Just a quick note, the Pats bounced back. We were all crapping on them last week. Harry, are you eating chips again?
No.
No chips. All right. The Rams still look rough. I mean, we shit on them last week, and we're going to shit on them again this week. Last week, we all said Dallas' season was going to be over. They come out and beat the Bengals this week. The Giants, they're a surprise team last week. They win again this week. I continue with that. I was dead wrong about the Cardinals. I said last week I wasn't surprised by their loss. I expected them to be meh. They beat a good Raiders team this week. I was surprised by that. I think they proved me wrong. So I was wrong about that. Aiden said the Vikings were going to be a threat in January, and they sucked.
They're just not a threat on Monday nights. That's all other games are fine.
Yeah, well, you said they were going to be a January threat, and they didn't look like that this week.
I still stand by that statement.
And the 49ers, we all said sucked. And I actually said in previous episodes before the last episode that I don't know why they're not still starting Jimmy G. And I think they should still start Jimmy G. Obviously, he's going to start the rest of the season.
I mean, Trey Lance did break his fucking ankle, so.
Yeah, but Trey Lance sucks, and Jimmy G is taking them to.
Whoa! I don't think Trey Lance sucks. He's a lot of untapped potential, but Jimmy G was definitely still the right choice for the quarterback.
But no,
position.
what I'm saying is Jimmy G took them to an NFC Championship and a Super Bowl and playoffs. And
they just want to see more out of the quarterback. It's like, dude.
I don't know what else you can ask for, but that's Cross's Receipts of the Week. I'll probably do this every week, just to go over some of the stuff we talked about in the prior week that continued into this week's storyline. So, before we start, Aiden, you still not sold on Tua?
Well, let me just say that if Mac Jones had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to throw to, he would be putting up better numbers than Tua would. He's a better player.
Fair. All right, so let's get into our Week 2 recap. Now we got our receipts out of the way. How we doing, boys? Before we get into it, how's everyone doing?
I want to run into a wall as fast as I can.
That's really good, Harry.
My offbeat weekly predictions have been going pretty well. If I know we'll get into it later in the episode. If the Ravens didn't, blow 30-point leads, that would also help.
Yeah, I mean. Can't complain. Yep. I mean, it's a good weekend of football, but let's get into it. Let's get into the football side of things. So best game we'll start with. I think the obvious pick that I think all of us are gonna have is probably Dolphins versus Ravens. Would you guys both agree?
Wholeheartedly.
So I think that was probably the best game. So I mean,
not to take away from the Chargers Chiefs game. That was a good game, but the Dolphins Ravens game was out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar played fantastic and his defense completely failed him. if you put up 38 points
actually,
and
I take it
lose,
back.
it's
I
hard
take
to
it
put
back.
it on the offense.
I take it back. I'm not going to say mine yet, but you and Aiden can explain why.
But if I were not to pick the Dolphins and Ravens, I'd probably lean towards the Jets and Browns. I thought that was a pretty
I don't take
fun
it back
game.
anymore. That was
Is that who you're gonna say?
Yeah, that was going to be my pick.
I thought that was a pretty entertaining game.
I forgot about that
actually have
game.
another game as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that game until I was looking up stats. And then I literally look at that. I'm like, oh my God. I forgot watching that entire game and seeing Joe Flacco lead his team to 2 touchdowns in under 2 minutes.
So that was a great game. And I have one more honorable mention: Cowboys versus Bengals. Although like not the best quality, it was a great game. Yeah, I
The
thought
rush is scary. That's all
he's
I'm
2-0
saying.
2-0 as a starter. But yeah. So Harry, you were gonna say Jets Browns?
I was gonna say Jets Browns. After watching that game, it looks like a clear wet wash throughout the entire thing. And then you watch the fourth quarter. And your entire opinion of the Jets kind of started to change for a little while. We were living in this mystery world where the Jets were like an actual good team, and it kind of looked like Joe Flacco was kicking back into his like 2016 days, leading the Ravens on last 2-minute drills, and it made me really excited for them, honestly. I know once Wilson's back, Flacco's hitting the road again, but I think for this last good game, his first win as a Jet, or first win as a Jet starter, I should say. Definitely made me happy to see Flacco put that in his long list of books.
Yeah.
So
Aiden, any comments on either of those?
Yeah, so I was actually going to offer a different game. Mainly because the Dolphins Ravens game was amazing, but if you think about it, it really only was a game for a half and like another half, so like 1.5 quarters. So I'm actually going to go with the Cardinals and the Raiders. I watched the entirety of that one. That was a great game.
Also a great game. Yeah.
There were so many opportunities the Raiders had to win that. They just had to make one more stop a 2-point. But again and again, Murray and the Cardinals just kept
And
applying
AJ Green.
pressure. Exactly.
He turned back the clock.
Yeah, they did a great job getting in. Scored 16 unanswered in the fourth quarter of that game to force overtime, and then to be able to force a receiver like Hunter Renfrow to fumble twice on the final overtime drive, what ended up being for the Raiders. That's just incredible heart out of the Cardinals. They really had to work for that one. So I thought it was a very good game to watch. That was my top game.
It's a great pick. I
forgot about that game. I don't disagree with that pick at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the worst games. I mean, there were some pretty bad games this weekend from some pretty bad, just bad performances. If I had to pick one, I'd have to go Bucks versus Saints. I think that was just an absolutely atrocious performance by both teams. Honestly, it was probably pretty good for the Saints considering they competed for a while. And then Tom Brady was in his head throwing stuff. Like Mike Evans got ejected. It was just a whole mess. And I think that's probably my worst game of the week.
Yeah, I respect that.
There's a lot of games you can pick. Like you could say the Broncos Texans just because it was so hard to get through. But I am gonna honorable mention to Broncos Texans, but I am most certainly gonna say Bucks Saints just because that game it wasn't only hard to get through, it was aggravating to watch because you're sitting there watching these two fantastic teams do absolutely nothing the entire game, and it just got so boring, so aggravating. That's what I was about to say. It's so aggravating. You're just sitting there annoyed, watching this game. It's like this isn't even fun to watch. You're just watching two teams do 4-and-outs over and over. And I don't know. It just pissed me off and kind of made it feel like a lackluster game as a whole for me. Even though the fourth quarter had some moments, it was the moments where Jameis Winston still being a terrible quarterback, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Aiden, any comments on worst game of the week?
Yeah. So I definitely agree with your guys' pick of Bucks Saints, but I'm actually gonna go with kind of the front runner for me was Colts and Jags.
That was my
Wow.
honorable mention.
Yeah, Colts really expected in the preseason at least to be one of the top teams in the AFC, kind of contend for a Super Bowl spot, and they just completely laid an egg this week against what's looking like an improved Jaguars team, but there's just no excuse for Matt Ryan to throw 3 picks, didn't throw any touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor struggled. There's a really off game for the Colts and not one that anybody could have seen coming. And it was just disappointing to see a team that many had as a Super Bowl dark horse last year and could be a contender again this year just flop like that. And they still don't have a win on the season. And in a loaded AFC, they could potentially be out of the playoff picture at this point.
What was it? There was 17, or there was no, in the past 2 years, there was 18 teams that started 0-2, and none of them have made the playoffs in the new playoff format. So
I mean, the
since
Colts
2020 in the new
aren't, they're
playoff
not,
format, teams that
yeah.
have started 0-2 have not made it.
I mean, they're not 0-2, they're 0-1-1, so that they're just avoiding that.
Technically above that,
having,
yeah.
Having watched them play the last 2 games, they sure don't look like a playoff team. I will say that.
Yeah. So my other honorable mention, I'll just mention real quick that it was a pretty hyped up game, was Bills and Titans. The Bills just absolutely just manhandled the Titans. It wasn't even close. Josh Allen went off, Stephon Diggs went off. It was just gross. And I think the Bills are just so dominant. But let's get into the MVP of the week. Harry, I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay.
Let's hear your MVP.
I feel loved. I feel loved. I feel honored. Truthfully speaking, this is probably my most emotional moment in the entirety of OffBeat Sports. As long as I've been here, I've never been honored with such a grateful moment like this.
Oh my God!
I
what is your MVP
say,
of the week?
I don't know. Honestly, this is probably the hardest one I've ever had to choose for because. One, I completely disagree with you. I thought that Jacksonville Colts game was a really good game. Because yes, you saw the Colts do bad, but you also saw the Jaguars, a team that many in this league have said is probably the worst out of the 32. You saw them look really good. And that's a team that you expect so much from with all the young talent on the team, but you don't expect it right now. But they looked and performed very well, and I was very happy to see that for them. But MVP of the week, it would go to the Dolphins if they didn't piss me off so much, but their defense is really probably the main key.
Huh? Most valuable player. It's not MVT. MVP. Most valuable player. Not
you make fun of me again one more time. I swear to God, I'm gonna eat another.
The Dolphins aren't a player. We've done this? This is the second week. This was your idea.
I'm used to doing best team, worst team. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Even then, we did that.
I forgot.
Okay. We did that last week.
All right. Let me say it then, asshole.
The idea, man. The idea, man.
I'm gonna be texting. I'm literally the one who made this fucking idea, and here I am messing up the stats. So MVP, I actually have 2 players. I have 2 for most surprising as well. But I have 2 players for this, and that would be Nicholas Chubb, who played an out of his mind game.
Actually lost him the game.
Maybe he lost him in the end, but like if you take away what he did, like that day, it just kind of screws the entire team. Like they had no chance if it wasn't for him. He kept them in it. Yeah, maybe he lost them in the end, but he literally kept them in that game with the amount of rushing yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He was going off for the Browns team with a Jacoby Brissett starting quarterback, and they really needed this. Jacoby Brissett. I'm about to eat another chip. I told you if you make fun of me, I'm eating another chip. But no, you look at a team that shouldn't perform that well, and he made them compete. Yeah, it was against the Jets, and they lost to the Jets, but he was fantastic this week. Other MVP, truthfully, honestly, I kind of just have to piggyback off last week and give it back to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is looking like very clearly a man on a mission at the start of this year. He doesn't look like he's still, getting warmed up. It doesn't look like he's knocking the dust off from last year. He looks like he has one goal this year, and it's to be a Super Bowl champion. And I think that's very clear off of how he's playing and how he's performing overall. He looks unstoppable. And I genuinely think if there's any team that has a chance of going 17-0 this year, it would be the Bills.
All right. Yeah, I Josh Allen's on my list, obviously, but I'm gonna go with a different route just because he's probably someone who's gonna be on this list every week or most weeks. I'm gonna go with a man who's failed by his team, Lamar Jackson.
Yes. Not failed by his team. Not failed by his team. Failed by his defense.
Yeah, I mean,
their defense lost them that game, and it made me mad.
Dude was having an iconic performance.
He rushed for 114 yards.
Absolutely destroyed that game for him.
I'm pretty sure he collapsed. I'm pretty sure he was one of the top 3 leading rushers that week too.
Dude,
he rushed for 112 yards. And
what do you have? 42? Yeah, he had 42 fantasy points. He had a rushing touchdown. He threw for 318. Dude, that's a fantastic performance. And to lose on that is just horrifying. But if I weren't going with him, I'd probably go with Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs, both talented receivers that played great, had a good stat line. So those are my MVPs. Aiden, let's hear it.
Yes, I also had Lamar Jackson on my list, but my main MVP I'm going to give to Tyreek Hill. Another phenomenal performance. He's really showing his worth this season. Because I feel like a lot of people in Kansas City kind of attributed the success of the team to Mahomes, rightfully so. But I think it was kind of also a main mission season to prove that
Hold on, Aiden.
Mahomes to be successful. That
Aiden, you're
frozen. Yeah, you're
really
frozen.
Aiden. All right. Aiden, you're cutting in and out. So Tyreek Hill, he showed his value. I'll just recap. I think I got the gist of it. But Tyreek Hill, because he showed his value where he wasn't getting all the credit in Kansas City, but he's bailing out his QB in Miami. So he's definitely shown his value as most valuable player. The gist of it. All right.
Also, wait. I want to update what I had just said. I said he rushed for over 100 yards. He didn't. He had 17 carries for 87.
Who? Lamar Jackson?
No. Nick Chubb.
Oh, I was gonna say Lamar Jackson.
Lamar definitely ran for over 100. But Nick Chubb had 87 yards, but he also ran for 3 fucking touchdowns.
He also had 26 receiving yards.
Yes. He was easily the best player on that team that day. I mean, Amari Cooper did pretty good too, but you can't compete with 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into surprise player of the weeks. My number one, actually I got 3. It's actually I'll let you guys
allowed to have 3?
No, I'll let you guys go first, and then
that's why I'm not allowed to have 3.
Based on who you pick, I'll probably have one open, or I'll be able to have an honorable mention. So, okay. Aiden, do you want to do the honors of starting us off?
Yeah. So my most surprised players this week, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Stephon Diggs. And I know those guys have been known to be skilled receivers in the league for a while at this point.
Wait, who was the second one?
I think they really put their names on the map this week, especially St. Brown. He's a very underrated wide receiver.
He's talking about Stephon Diggs.
Hold on, Aiden.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Aiden, you're cutting in and out. Well, all right, Aiden. I don't know what to do. You're kind of.
We'll come back to Aiden. We'll come back to
Aiden.
For what he started.
Hold on. When Aiden, when you're talking, just talk a little slower. I think that might help the connection. But Harry, when do you go?
So Aiden, for Aiden's picks, just so I don't take him, it was Amon-Ra St. Brown and Stephon Diggs. He began to explain Amon-Ra St. Brown for a little bit and then started cutting out a little bit. But I'll show you mine. So I got 2. First, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was playing phenomenal. He had, how many did he have? Let me just give you a brief explanation of a rookie wide receivers second week in the NFL. 8 receptions for 102 yards with 2 touchdowns with a backup quarterback beating a team that was on a win, that had no losses. That's his second game in the NFL. And he wasn't everybody looked at Garrett Wilson like, wow, that's a really good wide receiver, but probably some would argue best in the draft other than Treylon Burks, who also had a fantastic game. But watching him go off like that in a game that they most certainly should not have won, holy shit, that was something to watch. Number 2, I mean, AJ Green, dude. Holy crap.
So neither of you picked my picks.
Holy
I can't
crap.
believe this. All right.
Holy crap.
I got to open stuff.
You know, being an old Bengals fan, he got out there. I honestly, he didn't do anything crazy.
He actually screwed up twice before he saved it for him.
Yeah, he literally the only thing he did for him was get him a first, but holy crap. I just didn't expect him to even touch the field. That's why he's my surprise player of the week. Because, hey, seeing him out there was nice again. I mean,
With
definitely
D-Hop out, they got to play him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely looking at like the receivings. They have Greg Dortch, Benjamin, and Marquise Brown as their 1, 2, 3 right now. So he definitely has some competition to beat, especially for when D-Hop gets back. But if we can see more of him, I'd be super excited about that.
I mean, he was targeted in that red zone like a lot.
He just couldn't get the ball.
He screwed up a few times until the end. But here, let me get into mine because I'm surprised neither of you picked this. Number 1, Tua, 6 touchdowns. Nobody expected that.
No, 100%.
All right, Aiden just hopped off. He's probably gonna try and reload in, but he's back.
That's exactly what Aiden was doing.
Hold on.
Welcome back, Aiden.
Welcome back. He's still kind of laggy.
Yeah.
I'm
All
back.
right. Well, Tua, 6 touchdowns, very much a surprise. Helped carry him back into that game. Obviously, I feel like his receivers bail him out a lot, but I felt like that was still a performance you can't really ignore. And number 2, which I cannot believe neither of you picked, Cooper Rush.
So I want you to know I was gonna pick him. I was indeed going to pick him, but at the same time I felt like it wasn't right. Only because he didn't pass phenomenal. He passed for 67% and he only threw 19 passes.
His stat line wasn't
19
great.
completions.
Yeah, so
but he did get them a victory.
He won a game
against a Super Bowl contender. Like easily a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, with very minimal receivers against his team that was in the Super Bowl last year. And that's impressive. I had to put him on there.
That's why I was gonna say it, but I also wanted to give a shout out to AJ Green. Do I think Cooper Rush deserves the spot overall? Absolutely. But it was AJ Green. You know what I mean? We don't see him anymore, which he kind of disappeared for no reason because he was on top of the world and then just vanished. But Cooper Rush definitely is deserving of that spot. I will 100% agree with you.
Yeah, and then my third one was Amon-Ra St. Brown, as Aiden brought up. Yeah. That was a great performance.
I can't believe you didn't. I had 2 more that I wanted to talk about. Christian Kirk and Amari
just real
Cooper.
Quick.
Yeah, Christian Kirk and Amari Cooper.
I feel like Amari Cooper should be doing that. I think. I
feel like Christian Kirk should as well because Christian Kirk was paid one of the most massive contracts for somebody we saw as a wide receiver 2 or 3 the year before.
So let's get into the least valuable players of the week, and I'm just gonna preface this. I drafted him number 1 overall. Absolutely pathetic. Jonathan freaking Taylor.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say Christian McCaffrey. And I was
no,
probably getting mad at
Jonathan Taylor sucked so bad, and he lost me my matchup this week, and I'm pissed. Jonathan Taylor, step it up, or I'm cutting your ass.
So my first half team. I'm honestly going on a similar route as you. My first half team did really good. So my 1 o'clock games did really good. Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper, both on the bench. Christian Kirk started, did great. Michael Pittman was injured, so I couldn't have him out there doing his thing. But Christian McCaffrey still got 18. And
I had to start Amari Cooper because Keenan Allen is hurt.
Russell Wilson.
Yep, terrible.
Russell Wilson played absolutely. He's playing bad. Like
Yeah,
for
he's
everybody
not-
who was so excited,
Not
to
worth his
see him-
contract
Yeah.
right now.
No. Look, if you had to judge the decision of the Broncos to pick up this massive athlete, if you had to judge that decision based on these 2 games, they fumbled bad because he is
Mhm.
playing terrible.
Hopefully he bounces back because I actually kind of like Russell Wilson, but it's not looking good for Denver right now.
No, it looks terrible for Denver. And
Mhm.
did they get the win? Sure, but against the Texans, that's granted. You don't win by 7 points. You win by 37 in that game. With Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and oh Lord forgive me, I can't remember his name, but the rookie running back. You don't have a
He's a
close
sophomore
game.
running back now, but
All right, well,
Javonte
yeah, but-
Williams.
Thank you. That's not a close game. That's a
Mhm.
blowout. That's Ravens Jets. That's Bills Titans. That's Eagles Vikings. That's like that you don't lose that game. Though the
Yeah.
Eagles Vikings was very surprising.
Aiden, let's see how your connection's holding up. What we got for least valuable player?
My mic good now?
Yeah. Oh my
just
God.
Talk,
that's
just
a
talk a
huge
little bit
change.
slower.
All right. So I have 2 pretty easy picks for me. Derrick Henry and Matt Ryan.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with both of those.
Forward start for both of them. Henry only had 25 rushing yards. Matt Ryan threw 3 picks, not even 200 passing yards. Both those guys got to step it up if their teams want a chance at making the playoffs. Not living up to their contracts either, that's for sure. And it's concerning for Henry more so because he's reaching that age where running backs start to fall off. And it's not a good sign for the Titans, who Tannehill also could be on that list, you could argue, for most disappointing players. So
He's
Rocky,
consistently disappointed.
Well, and
Rocky-
freaking Derrick Henry still scored more than Jonathan Taylor.
true. But
Asshole.
definitely rocky start to the season for both those AFC South teams.
Mm-hmm. So I have a couple honorable mentions that I'll just mention real quick before we move on. Dalvin Cook sucked. Actually, it was a bad week for running backs.
It was terrible. Well, Leonard Fournette
For the top running backs.
Yeah,
for
Leonard
the top
Fournette
picks.
sucked.
But
the only top pick who had a decent week this week he didn't even hit his projected. It was Christian McCaffrey, and he had 18. 18 is good for a running back.
he
Yeah,
had 16.
but he had 18
uh,
in mine. I have a PPR.
Yeah, mine's PPR too. It's 16.8.
I thought he had 18. 18.
Nope.
I thought he was like 18.7.
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought I had just looked at it. But evidently I was wrong. But no, like even for him, like when you're projected 23, that's a bad week.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
and so yeah, I mean, just tough week for running backs. But my
David Montgomery
second,
had a good game though.
yeah, but I mean, but he's like a 3rd round pick or 2nd or 3rd round pick.
He was
like,
a
fantasy
fantasy wise
wise.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I mean, like for like the top 4, 5 picks.
Oh yeah, when you're Austin Eckler and the rest of them.
Yeah. Surprise player, or no, sorry, not surprise. I mean, and then my other least valuable
Jesus,
player
where
was.
are you at in your head right now,
Jeez.
Cross?
No,
Holy crap.
I have my list to go down, and I moved surprise player up, but it's just an arrow, so I was like going down.
This is
But
garbage.
my other least, shut up. My other least valuable player is Tom Brady. Sucked as he always does in New Orleans. But let's get into stock up, stock down before we wrap up today's episode. We'll just go through all the games.
Hey, I
do
do
our
want to say
stock up,
something
stock down.
before we finish. Before we do these stock up, stock downs, I want to say something. I want to say something.
Oh God!
Let's get a round of applause for OffBeat Sports. Not one time did we mention the Patriots. Yeah.
Oh jeez!
Let's
Oh my
go.
God.
Let's go. That's got to be a first one talking about NFL week.
Wait! Surprise player of the week, Nelson Aguilar.
Shut the fuck up.
Honestly, wait, Nelson Aguilar is actually
He had a
good
great
pick.
game. He had a really good game.
How did none of us bring that
He
up?
had like
We all-
100. He had like 105 yards
Oh
receiving.
my God! we all watched the game and not one of us picked up.
All right,
picked
well,
Nelson Aguilar.
I now revoke what I had just said.
All right, let's get stock up, stock down. All right. So we'll just go game by game and give I think so. Chargers, I'm going stock down. That was a defining game for them. I think they needed to beat the Chiefs to cement that they're top team in the AFC West. So I think there's probably stock down from that loss.
Agreed. Stock down. Stock down. Agreed.
Yeah, I have stock staying the same. I didn't expect them to win, but I wouldn't say they disappointed either. They were right. They only lost by a field goal. I'm gonna say stock remains the same.
Chiefs, huge stock up. Huge.
I would say stock up because they showed that they're still top dogs.
Even without Christian McCaffrey. Who am I?
Oh my god!
Who am I? What is going on?
Where is your head at? He's too busy with his Cape Cod chips.
I'm thinking about the goddamn chips.
All right.
I want you to know I've looked at them like 12 times this episode. But
get you someone who looks at you the way Harry looks at Cape Cod chips.
Or get you someone who looks at a bowl of Cheerios like Harry looks at a bowl of Cheerios.
Oh my god, that's not. Are we gonna force that into every episode?
Yeah,
now?
we're gonna force it.
All right, Aiden, Chiefs, you're going stock up.
Stock up. Yeah.
All right. Patriots, I'm going stock up. I think that was a good win. They held in there. Defense still looks good. Offense looked better. I mean, we're making progress.
Yeah.
Offensive line looked good.
If it wasn't for the offense, especially the linemen, I would definitely say stock stayed the same. Only because now that the Steelers is definitely like a lower tier team because of injuries. I'm gonna have to say stock up only because of only because the offense looked a lot more pure this week, and even
getting a win on the road is always good too.
Yeah, and against a team with a really good defense, even though they're kind of plagued by injury right now, it still looks really good.
I mean, they only had one guy out.
Yeah, but he's also
incredible.
the high favorite for DPOY this year.
Yeah, but.
And the rest of their defense is also very good. Like Minka Fitzpatrick is probably one of the best wide.
I mean, you also have to consider
what is going on.
You also have to consider that regardless on if the Steelers are good or not, they still have a great defense, as Harry said, and the crowd always goes nuts there. The very end of the game.
Oh yeah, playing in Pittsburgh, Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, I think that's a big step in young quarterback's career, like Mac in the second year getting a win there. Regardless of how good the team is, it's a big step forward for him. He's going to need to win games like that if he wants to win a Super Bowl. So I'd go stock up as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to go stock down for the Steelers. I mean, it's a tough loss for them. They could have won. The Patriots gave them some chances, and they just weren't capitalizing. So stock down for me.
Now, hear me out. Stock up.
Dude, they beat the Bengals the week before, I think.
No. Well, stock up. They beat the Bengals purely because of defense. I stocked down them by a lot, even though they won last week, because of the injuries that they had just got.
Yeah.
I expected them to play bad. Now, this is around. I would say stock stayed the same.
But you also thought Najee Harris was going to be out too, and he wasn't.
Yeah. But I would have said the same. I would have said stayed the same because I honestly don't think they're a stock down purely because of like now what we should expect, what we should realistically expect from the team, knowing how Trubisky's going to play. Stock up purely because Kenny Pickett hit the field. Get more time with Kenny Pickett on the field, you get better offensively. Kenny Pickett has a lot to show under a very good system. And I think Kenny Pickett is the perfect fit for the Steelers. All he needs to do is get more time on the field, get warmed up. So the fact that he got out there, out there on Sunday,
He didn't. No, he didn't. I'm looking at the stat. I'm looking at the stats right now. He's not on the stat sheet.
He was on the field. I promise.
Okay, did he actually play a real down?
I think he got a handoff.
All right, so he didn't.
But they literally
didn't put a stat on.
But
I turned it off at the end of the game, but
that
right.
was honestly okay. Okay.
So Panthers Giants, I'd go stock up for Giants. I mean stock down for the Panthers. They can't even beat the Giants. So I'm going winner stock up, or loser stock down. Just the Giants Giants got to win.
I go for both of those. Giants keep finding ways to win close games, and that's really all that matters, honestly.
Yeah.
I stock up and down.
I definitely say the same. Giants are time and time again proving why they still should belong, and I love it. I love it.
Jets stock up, Browns stock down. I mean, the Jets win. You got to go stock up whenever the Jets got to win.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And whenever you lose to
Jets.
And whenever you lose to the Jets, stock down. So those are pretty straightforward for me.
I don't think it needs much more of an explanation from either of us.
Colts stock way down. That was embarrassing.
Oh my God.
And Jaguars stock way up. They looked pretty good.
Yeah. And just to go back on the Jets Browns game, that was another candidate for surprising player. Joe Flacco had a rewind performance, over 300 passing yards and 4 TDs, just to put that out there.
Yeah, he looked phenomenal. He really did. He really looked really good.
Yeah.
But, I agree with both of those picks, by the way.
I also agree with both of the Jags, yeah.
Yeah. So Dolphins, I'm going stock up. I mean, that was a good comeback. Ravens, I'm going to go stock the same because their offense played fantastic. Their defense sucked. So I don't want to punish their whole team by saying stock down in a game where Lamar Jackson had a phenomenal performance and their whole offense played really well. So I'll go stock saying the same for them and stock up for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'd go stock up for both teams. Obviously the Dolphins because they won, but I think the Ravens really showed that Lamar's going to have a massive season playing for that contract. And their defense did let them down, but I think they're going to use that as motivation going forward. So I think overall it was a stock up week for Baltimore.
Harry, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, agreed completely, absolutely.
With who? Me?
Yeah, Baltimore and Dolphins. I feel like is a stock up.
Oh, so you agree with Aiden? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I said stock the same for the Ravens, just because I wouldn't.
I definitely say stock up purely because of how good the offense played against a good defensive team. The defense is still scary though.
Buccaneers and Saints. I'm going stock down for both teams. That was just an ugly game.
Agreed.
They both suck.
I'd say stock down for Bucks, but stock way down for the Saints. We're quickly watching we're quickly watching Jameis Winston fall back into his 40 and 40 days, and that's just unacceptable, especially when playing for a team as good as the Saints. There should be no reason.
Yeah. So Commanders, I'm going stock down. They just can't beat. They had two games they should have won. Actually, did they win last week?
They won last week.
Yeah.
All right, they should have killed that week, and then they lost this week to the Lions. I just think, come on, stock down for them and stock up for the Lions. I'm high on the Lions.
Oh,
baby.
let's go, Lions fever, baby. Lions fever. I'm feeling it right now.
I have proof that I have been a Lions fan for a while now because when Calvin Johnson was my favorite NFL player for the longest time, and I was a big Lions guy, obviously other than the Patriots, but they always sucked. So I'm not hopping on a bandwagon.
I want to say, Amon-Ra, after this week, he is now only the second player to get 5 games in a row with a touchdown, or nice. 6 games in a row with a touchdown on the Lions. You know who the other player was?
Calvin Johnson.
Barry Sanders.
Damn. All right. So next, I got Seahawks Niners. Seahawks down. They lost by 20 to a backup QB. Niners way up because their backup QB is actually fantastic. And Jimmy G is back. And I can't believe that. Dude, they're so much better with Jimmy G at quarterback, and I'm just happy. I love Jimmy G. So
last week they
up on the Niners, down on the Seahawks.
Last week they would have skunked that game if Jimmy G was throwing the ball.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. I would consider doing the Seahawks as staying the same because I don't know how much to expect out of them. But
I just felt like I was up on them last week.
I'm basing my stock based on how I led them last week.
I mean, I went up on them last week, so I might as well just go down. And then, as you
Mhm.
said, the Niners showed that it doesn't matter who they have at quarterback, Lance or Jimmy G, they're still a good team. So I'm gonna
All
go
right. Falcons, Rams. Rams, I'm gonna go stay the same because I mean they won by 4 against the Falcons. And they almost blew it, and they should have blew it, but Mariota actually Ramsey had a fantastic pick that wouldn't have been picked by anyone else. So I'd probably stay the same with the Rams just because it was an awesome performance. In the Falcons, I'm going way up because the fact that they were in that game and had a chance to win it is impressive from
Against
a
the
team
defending
shitty.
Super Bowl champs.
So I'm gonna go stock up in for the Falcons and stay in the same for the Rams.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go stock down for the Rams and stock up for the Falcons. I think the Falcons showed a lot of heart in coming back in that. And I mean all the jokes saying they were down 28-3, almost pulled it off. But the Rams got to win by more over teams like the Falcons if they want to seriously be considered as repeat champs, or at least have a chance to.
Yeah.
But the Falcons really show that they can hang with any team. They can hang with the
Mhm.
Super Bowl champs at their own place. So I'm gonna go stock up with Atlanta, stock down for the Rams.
So
Even the Rams.
so next I got Cardinals Raiders. I'm gonna go stock up for the Cardinals and stock down for the Raiders. The Raiders just can't get a win. They blew that. They had all the chances in the world, and I didn't think the Cardinals were that good, as I said last week, and clearly they were able to win it this week. So I'm going stock up Cardinals, stock down Raiders.
So stock up Cardinals, stock down Raiders. I would say Raiders stay the same, but I gave them a stock up last week. Kind of the reason I'm going
Can't give
stock
them
down.
You can't give them 2 moral victories.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kind of the reason why I'm going stock down is because I gave them that moral victory. It's like, well, you're playing against a really good team. You held in it for so long. I think that's stock up to sit because the potential that we're looking from you, you should be the worst in the league or worst in this conference. But at the same time, you should be in it. You know what I mean? You should have before season. We expected you to still be in it. So I'm glad. Like I'm happy to see it now. It's just. It's like, come on, dude. It's the Cardinals. Like, not to take anything away from the Cardinals, but that's a team you can beat. Chargers, I understand a loss to. Chiefs, I understand a loss to. Like, good teams like that, I get it. Cardinals is a good team, but they're not top of the food chain. Like, you should beat that team. If you want to prove something that you made the right offseason moves to get to where you have to be to get to a Super Bowl contender, you need to win that game. And they're not. They're consistently losing, and it's not looking good.
Yeah.
So I had Cardinals staying the same and Raiders down. And I say Cardinals staying the same because I think they're the best team in the NFC West. I think they'll end up winning that division. I think they kind of proved that by coming back. So I'm going to leave them as staying the same. I still expect them to be one of the top teams in the NFC. And Raiders, I'm going to go down because they just can't keep blowing leads. I think they're at the very least the bottom 2 team in their own division. So I'm going to go down for them.
Before we get to the next one, I'm going to introduce it. So for the next week, how about them Cowboys, huh? How about them Cowboys, huh?
They're not even the next one.
What, do you have the Bears and Packers first?
No, I have the Broncos Texans first. All right, fine. Get to your how about them Cowboys.
Thank you. How about them Cowboys, right? So next up we got Cowboys versus Bengals. For me,
these are pretty straightforward.
Huge stock up Cowboys, huge stock down Bengals. Bengals should win that game 100% of the time. They didn't. They failed. They lost in crunch time. They looked bad. And honestly, Cooper Rush, man. Cooper Rush.
Agreed.
How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? He looked good. The team looked good. And honestly, it looked like Dak wasn't even missing.
Pretty straightforward agreement from me.
Yeah. Stock down for Bengals, stock up for Cowboys. Not really much explanation needed there.
Texans, Broncos. I'm probably going Texans stay the same because they were in that game, and then the Broncos stock down because they only beat the Texans by 7. I don't know how much there is for that, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go down for Broncos. They were actually losing going into the fourth quarter, hadn't scored a touchdown yet. And the AFC West now considered the best conference in the NFL. That's not going to get it done. I think they're the worst team in that division, even worse than the Raiders. Broncos definitely down. Texans I'll do stay the same. They've really fought against the Broncos, and Davis Mills is he's going to only get better from here on out.
Yeah.
I really want to say, stock stays the same from both of them. You know what? I am gonna say that because last week I had Broncos down just because how are you gonna lose to the Seahawks like that? I'm gonna say stock stays the same. One, because Texans they should be there. You know what I mean? They should be at the bottom of the barrel. I understand that. The Broncos shouldn't. Broncos shouldn't. They're continuing to prove me right. And I'm like a disappointed father. I'm not mad. I'm just simply disappointed. Like that is just something you don't want to see for a team that everybody was so excited for. And honestly, I'm saying stock stays the same out of pure just disappointment. Like it should be stock down, but its stock stays the same.
All right. These last 3 games I think are all pretty straightforward. So Packers stock up, Bears stock down, Bills stock up, Titans stock down, Eagles stock up, Vikings stock down. I think those are all pretty straightforward.
The only change I'd make is the Bills and Titans game. I'd make both their stocks way. So Titans way down just because they're continuing to underperform, and Bills way up because they're continuing to overperform.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got. We'll be back next week with my receipts. We'll see how we do on these. And we'll go through all the stuff again.
Wait, to add to your receipts list for next week, the player that has the most receiving yards next week, I can promise you it's going to be Christian Kirk.
All right. Bold statement from Harry there.
Player with the most receiving yards next week.
All right.
You can quote me on it. 120 plus receiving yards next week.
Christian Kirk. Well, we'll end it with that. They're playing the Chargers, so I don't know why you'd make that bet.
Watch it.
All right, so we're gonna end it with that. Thanks everyone for listening. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at @offbeat_sports.
Before we go,
check us out on TikTok at Offbeat Sports. Like and subscribe to this video because we'll be back with our Week 3 recap next week.
Before we go, if you're watching on YouTube, got a little something to show you.
Real quick, let me
something to show you. Now, there's a reason why I like my big guys in the NFL, right? Because they finish every last drop of milk. Now, on the Offbeat store, you can get your every last drop T-shirt.
Yeah, put together.
I think that's
today.
a fantastic shirt. It looks wonderful. Right. It's off a funny joke. If you watch the show, you'd know.
Iconic
moment.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time on Offbeat Sports. Make sure to subscribe.
I've been Harry.
And I've been Cross.
I've been Aiden.
We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.